Welcome to another episode of Screw the Clout. My name is Steve Stanulis, and we have another amazing guest today. I want to thank everybody right now for making Apple. Right now, we are a top 10 podcast, and it's not because of me. It's because people like my next guest, and I'm so excited to speak to her. And she's coming from the other side of the world right now in Dubai, so she already lived today as I'm beginning today and drinking my coffee. But just to go a little deeper, everyone online is selling shortcuts, and today's guest actually understands the long game. Built real wealth and doesn't need clout, but yet here she is, and I'm so glad that she joined us today. And if you're not into not following your dreams, this next person is the quintessential guest of why Screw the Clout was created, and I'm so happy to have her. Naila Nazer, how are we doing today?
Hi, wow, what an intro. Thank you so much for that. My God. I wish I started my day with that. Now I've ended it with this, but still, I'm not gonna
Well, you know
sleep
what?
tonight.
That's great. I was trying to create and it fit all the shit you do, and I didn't feel like I was gonna get enough. So I said, instead of naming everything one by one by one, I said, let me just kind of overview it. But I'm glad. I'm glad you liked it. So we're going to get into a couple things. But before we even do, um, Dubai. What the fuck made you go and set your life and create something over in Dubai, other than it's one of the most beautiful places in the world?
Yeah, I'm actually originally Lebanese, and a
Hmm.
lot of people don't know that about me. So I actually grew up in the Middle East. I moved to LA and spent basically most of my life in LA. And then there was like this just chapter of my life where everything got turned upside down. I got married, I had a kid, and I moved to England, which was a crazy shock for me. Dubai came after that chapter when I realized, you know what? I'm not ready to go back to LA and I really want to reconnect with the Middle East. And I feel really safe here. I really do love growing up, my daughter to grow up in this city. So there's so many beautiful things about it. And there's so many things that, you probably think, oh man, I really want to leave because there's just no nature or whatever. But then you get used to it and somehow it just locks you in. You can't get out of the city. So I've been here four
Good,
years
right?
now.
It's almost like living in Manhattan, but different. Instead of sand and desert, you have huge concrete jungle. So it's like the same thing, and people just never get off that island, which is so small as far as mileage around. But yeah, I get it. I mean, that's a great answer. So again, we're going to get to some couple things today, and just to get into you, so people know a little bit about you and get you a little mindset, what you think and how now his world is. So when people read your bio, right, as a creator, a speaker, adventurer, podcast, what do they assume most about you that's actually wrong?
I think the biggest assumption is like that I have it made maybe, or maybe that I was like I came from like a setup that was like a kind of built up foundation. Maybe some people assume that I'm like rich. I don't know, but because like when you look at my life, you see extreme sports, you see travel, you see luxury destinations, you see a lot of things. And I think until people actually start to dive deep and maybe listen to my podcast or just watch, when I do Q&As and when I connect with my audience, then they realize that I really did build this from nothing.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So
so
that
I
would be.
think that's probably the biggest assumption. Or they think like I'm just like an adrenaline junkie, like chasing clout, just wanting to get views. And they don't realize that like every step of every single thing that I've ever done has had a purpose for me to change, to become better, to build a version of me that I know I can build, even though I came from a blank canvas. I was abandoned by my parents at 16 and I had to grow up completely by myself. So everything was literally step by step, me teaching myself every little part. So I don't think people get that from just looking at the page or reading my bio.
Well, that's great. So visibility and value to you aren't the same thing, right? It's not the same. Getting the value out of what you do as far as the visibility. Would that be accurate?
Absolutely. I love that. It's so true because I feel like I And don't get me wrong, there's a part when you become a creator, you kind of get addicted to the visibility and you go, oh my gosh, wait, am I actually now living this dream where I'm being seen? But then you realize I'm not actually being seen. I want to be seen for who I am. I want to be seen for the person that lies within this, shell body Land Rover that's roaming this earth. I want people to see what's under. And views and visibility really are just they pass, you get views and then it passes. I feel like what I really aim to do is actually connect with everybody that sees me because I also want to be seen for who I am. So I definitely think visibility and value are completely different.
But was there a moment where the attention started to feel like a liability instead of an asset, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because in everything that I've done, like you said in the beginning, I have done a lot of things. And one of them was when I was modeling, and this was a while ago, but I realized how much attention was cheap because it was just more about my looks. It was about whatever I posted that just had any kind of sex appeal. And I didn't post too many sexy things, but still, it was just like, if it's not sexy enough, no one gives a shit, excuse my language. But so what I started to realize then is like, if I ever want people to know me, I have to rebrand everything. And I started to actually post less model. I stopped modeling. I started posting more about my story. I started sharing everything that I'm going through and just being the human that I am. So I removed that performative level and man, did it feel good. It actually felt amazing.
It's funny. I'm sorry to interrupt. Before we have a guest on the show, right? A lot of times we reach out to either the guest or their representative and say, "Hey, um, so we don't want to pick out a picture of our guest because sometimes they're very particular, right?" So today, when we had reached out, I said, get whatever picture now you want was to what we'll use, right? And they sent me a picture of you hanging from looking up from a cliff, and I'm like, that's fucking awesome because I even said 5 minutes before you came on when I saw what your promo picture was going to be. Every part of me said it was going to be like some sort of glamorous headshot or some cocktail, whatever. Again, not but which is awesome too. Trust me, I wouldn't mind seeing that myself. But what describes you best and what you're portraying, what your whole persona is, I think there was no better picture to send me, and I would have picked that picture. And usually 9 out of 10 of my guests of somebody of your caliber and the way you look and would have said no, said use this instead. So it was just funny you just had said that because I thought that picture was amazing. And that was awesome. I just said that literally 5 minutes off the air before you got on. So that I love it. So that I love. So you really just said what we were talking about, which is amazing. But the last question I have, and then we'll get away from all the social media stuff and get into you, because a lot of my guests like to speak about certain things, and a lot of my audience loves to hear influences and how the secrets and what it takes. So what would you say is the hardest part for you when you started to get from where you started to where you are now, as far as building from day one? What is the tips that you can tell somebody listening um, to begin the grind, so to speak?
Uh, Thank you so much for this amazing question because it's so important to constantly even remind myself the answer. So, the answer to that is from the beginning to the end, the only pattern that I ever saw that held me back, that probably was a big, just a major speed bump in whatever goal that I had and just set me back 100 steps was just self-doubt. And it was like consistently, I'd have an idea and then there would almost be an instant default idea that said a response in my head that would be like, nah, that won't work. Don't do that. That's not good. It's not going to work. And later on, as I look back now, I realize I had some fucking awesome ideas. I should have acted on every single one of them because in the end, you zoom out and you realize that it's like there's no point in trying to be like anybody else. There literally is no point in trying to be like anybody else. The most amazing
Right.
thing you could do in life is dedicate yourself to your true identity and stick to that. So after self-doubt, I would say consistency. The only thing that also like stops us as well is like okay, we doubt ourselves first, then we go, oh, maybe today is just not the day. I don't really feel like doing this, or I don't want to create, or I don't want to do this job, or sometimes with my podcast, I have to film like 5 episodes in one day, and it's just the day where I would love to just be in bed. But Joe Rogan said this, and many, many people have said this quote, and it's like, it doesn't matter if you don't feel like it, you still have to do the damn thing. And when you kind of keep that in your head, no matter how you feel, you just go towards the goal that you have. I feel like that really is what catapulted everything once the growth started. I would say when I started to be like, you know what? Fuck it. I don't care what people think anymore. Just completely just let it go, the fuck it mindset, go for it. And you know what? If it doesn't work out, I don't care. I actually want to fail. Like I hope I fail because I know that when I fail, I'm getting closer to whenever I'm gonna actually succeed. So having that mentality is exactly when I started seeing everything go like this.
And again, you just said like the handbook. Again, not to sound uh, Joe Rogan, Tony Robbins, Jack Canfield, but yes, 100%. Um, what a lot of influencers that I had that had significant audiences say, and exactly, they're more worried about should I do this or what are people going to think about if I do? What are my friends going to think? What am I? And again, it's got to get to the point like when you said, you know what, fuck it, screw it, no pun intended, screw it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do me because what happens is, and we just had somebody on our last episode who was a big TikTok personality. He's got like 5 million followers, and all his friends that were like, "What are you doing?" Making fun of him in the beginning with his skits and whatever his shtick was. Were the first ones, and this is the same thing when I got into the film business. Are the first ones when he started showing up on their feed constantly. Well, like,
Yeah.
oh my God, dude, this is I can't believe you're everywhere, and then they're like, oh, all that. What are you doing? This is stupid. Are the first ones to go like this. I knew you could do it. You know what I mean? And again, when I got into the film business, people are like, what are you doing? You're a cop. What are you doing? How do you? Anyhow, the point is, all of those people when they came to the premiere, right, and we were screening, and there's people, celebrities there, people that are like, oh, and I'm hanging out with them. They're like, why? I can't believe, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I never doubted it. I knew you could do it, bud. So yes, it goes everything back to what you're saying is, first of all, you got to just overcome yourself. You're the biggest obstacle. And again, it is a learning curve. And yeah, are you gonna make some cringy things? We all are. I mean, you're just not gonna come out and kill it, right? So you learn, and when you fail, you could either be like, I'm not stupid, or you can say, all right, this didn't work because A, well, I'm gonna do it this way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And here you are.
And especially with content, I feel like it's one of the things that I genuinely believe you have to fail with content because you need to know what works. And the only way to know what works is to know what doesn't work. And what I've also found, by the way, is how crazy the brain is because we totally project what we think people are going to think. So if
Uh-huh.
let's say my insecurity is about, I think people are not going to find my videos high quality, let's say, okay? Then I'm putting that in my head. And as soon as I make a video, the first thing I'm going to be thinking about is like, wait, this quality is probably going to be judged. But I'm projecting that. Nobody gives a shit. People just want to see the content. And
Right.
the craziest thing is also the algorithm keeps changing. So instead of sitting there and trying to be like, should I not, should I not, you literally need to just post what shows your humanity, what shows your personality, what shows your character, what you're good at, do it, put it out there. And when you look at your page, go, am I obsessed with this? Do I love this? Every magic wand, no, nobody's opinion matters right now. How do I feel about this? When I look at my page, even the ones that don't perform well, I'm like, I don't care. I love it. This is something I actually love that I put out. And even if it reached, you know, 5,000 people instead of 10 million, I know that it hit those 5,000 people and made a difference. It had a message. It still struck someone. And that still matters, you know? So I feel like getting married to this idea of like, oh my God, I must go viral each time actually makes us have, it kind of makes you less creative, you know? Because then you're insecure,
Agree.
and creativity doesn't come from a place of weakness and like a brittle place. It comes from somebody who's confident, who knows what the fuck they want to do, and has a solid foundation of the idea and sticks to it.
Agreed. And again, two things I'll also add to that for somebody who's on that side in a different way. One, a lot of people like worry about haters and critique and whatever. My response, and again, and everything I'm saying is kind of hypocritical because I lived that. I was that person. So and you learn, right? So when I first did a film, and people made negative comments on stuff. Some of the stuff I knew that they didn't even see the movie. It was just pure people hating, right? So
Yeah.
then I started to say, well, wait a minute, right? If they quote unquote hated or they didn't like whatever, right? If you're still taking fucking time out of your own day to sit down and write a fucking something this long, which is like a biography about
Yeah.
me, then I'm still living somewhere in your head, regardless whether you quote unquote hate my work, think I'm a flop or a bust or like me. You're
Yeah.
instead of just scrolling and say that sucks and going on, you still felt compelled to write. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
again, a lot of people, and I'm sure you could attest this, say and get very down on the negative comments. I don't even read comments anymore. I could care less. You know what I
I
mean?
don't either.
I know if you
Yeah.
wrote a comment, bad or good, you took your time
Yeah.
to love me or hate me. So
Yeah.
I think that's a big thing that people must overcome when they're starting this. Because I think that's another, not only a failure, but the possibility of putting yourself out there, making yourself
Yeah.
vulnerable, and people killing you. And I think that's
Yeah.
another obstacle somebody like yourself and a lot of people out there have to overcome.
Totally. And you know what? Sometimes the easier thing is not even to overcome, but just to accept it. Like, just to accept, like, this is gonna come with hate. This is gonna come with positive comments. This is gonna come with hate. I know I'm mentally prepared. But what's great is like, if somebody gives you, I read this in a book and it's written by a Japanese author. It was like, if somebody gives you a gift, right? And you don't take
Right.
it, who does the gift
Mm.
belong to? Doesn't belong to you. Same thing with a
Right.
comment. They give you something. Unless you take it, unless you receive it, unless you internalize it, it's not yours. It's this person's, it's theirs, right? So every time somebody says something like, "Oh, you don't know anything about this," or especially with my podcast, my God, people love to give their opinions on, especially when we talk about narcissism and,
But that means they
relationships.
love it. But I'm sorry right there. Again, I'm
Yeah,
so sorry to interrupt, but you hit it right
not
on
at
the
all.
head. But that means they're still fucking listening and watching, right? So they're as much as whatever they're saying, they're still
Yeah,
listening to you at some level and watching you to comment on it, bad or good. You know what I mean? So I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'm just saying it's when as you're
yeah,
saying it, it sounds insane, right? So I'm
yeah,
sorry, please
yeah.
continue. I'm just saying it's madness.
No, you're absolutely right. And I think, and what I would love to say if I was talking to my daughter and she was going to be a
Mm.
content creator, right? I would say to her, the more energy you invest in being someone else or something else with comparing because you think that that's what you need to do to be liked, the more you're going to abandon your true self. And one day, the more you abandon yourself, you're not going to know who the fuck you are. I've been there, right? I grew up without parents. I had to build my own personality. I mean, I had no personality, literally. I was like, I raised myself, I was in survival mode. I didn't know who I was. But the lack of identity will kill a person faster than anything else with. It's my own opinion. This might be wrong. That's what I believe. I've been on the edge many times because I was like, who am I? Who am I? What do I like? Those two questions I couldn't answer. And, you could get to that point if you constantly try to sell out and just do what you think is gonna get you views and gonna make you be liked. It's dangerous. I love to encourage people to just fuck up. If you think you're fucking up, I don't believe anything is fucking up. Do it. Just do it. Whatever it is, do it. Write, produce, put it out there. You know what? I mean, when I started my podcast, I had 5 views. And when I was, when I started modeling, people were like, she's ugly. She's not a model. She's too short. But I loved it. I loved being the creative director behind my shoots, and I just kind of kept doing it. So
Right.
in the end now, it gets to the point where it's like the women out there that are rejected by agencies because they're not good enough are like, hey, I look up to you because you still persevered and you did it for the love of, the creation, because I was creating my own shoots. So yeah, I think I love this conversation. I really, really love this because I think this is where we can inspire people to really just actually create authentic content.
Right. And now I'm going to say one other thing. And again, I tell you sometimes I go off the cuff, but I'm going to say something for a second. You'd be like, well, where is this going? And you'll find out. So, a lot of the time I have this is mostly an entrepreneurial type of podcast, right? And Screw the Clout is basically the structure is at some point you went down a road, it could have went left or right, and you said, screw it, I went this way, my life became this. That's what that is. But so once or twice I had these two porn stars on, female, right? And they're like, people are like, why are you having porn stars, right, on the show? How are they? What does that have to do with entrepreneurial? Being an entrepreneur. Well, what made me inspired by them was because again, they were in the adult industry, right? They had to go to sets with strangers they never worked with, they never tested with, they were had to do anything or they were about getting fired. And what they started to do is they created outright their only fan page. So they became their own person. They could do whatever they want if they want to be. If they don't, and just create content that they feel comfortable about, right? And some of them persevere. One was a foot model, not a foot model. I'm sorry, like foot. People have like these foot fetishes,
Foot fetish,
right?
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So she started like this whole page and got like blew up because it's amazing because she did all these foot pictures, right? And people love it. But but she took something that we all have, right? And made a career out of it. And the second porn, the other one, I don't really want to call her a porn star. What she did was her and her husband. She already is with her husband, right, on camera. But I said, think about it. We all have sex, right, with our significant other every day. I mean, I'm not. Am I going to share it? No, but they do. But they're making money off that, of something that we all could do. But I'm just
Yeah.
saying, the point is, they took a concept, whatever taboo or whatever people think it is, and they're making money. They're not a slave. So that's why I said the whole entrepreneurial thing. I was impressed by it. You're not, no matter what you're doing, you're not a slave to anybody. You could take your own career, whatever it is, own it, and flourish a different way. That was
Yeah,
the whole point of where I'm going.
yeah, no, I totally get your point. And you know what? I actually really, really respect and admire people no matter what industry, no matter what they do. I don't care. I really
Yeah.
respect when people go all in on something they love, they dedicate their time, they work hard, and they make their money. And I'm like, listen,
No pun intended.
yeah, no pun intended. I'm
No pun
like, do
intended.
you? But you know what? There is a beauty in learning not to judge people. And the more you give yourself that habit of like not judging others, and I know that's super hard to say and super hard
Mhm.
to kind of, I'm not perfect, but I genuinely believe the one thing I've always strived to be perfect in is to never make an opinion about somebody I don't know Because that habit, it's not just about them, it's about me as well. That habit of judging others and constantly thinking, making up opinions about others, what they do, what there's, their entire path and how I think it could be different, that ends up mirroring to me. The more you
Mm.
judge others, the more you're going to judge yourself. So you're creating that voice in your extra, you're saying it, vocalizing it about someone else. Well, guess what? You're going to be, that inner voice is going to be in your head as well. And that voice sounds like, oh, Nyla, you shouldn't be doing this. Oh my God, people are going to talk about you. Oh, you shouldn't.
Right.
What are people going to say about this industry? Oh, ew, you're going to be an adult worker. You're going to be a whatever.
Right.
The voices, the things that we say have an impact, whether they're inside our heads or out. And I think when it comes to working and being an entrepreneur, just hone in on yourself and focus on that shit until you just keep you blood and blood, sweat, and tears. I just genuinely believe being passionate about something, no matter what, and remove all the noise. Honestly, this is gonna sound really morbid and dark, but we're all gonna fucking die in 50 years, so who fucking cares? Just do the
Right.
damn thing, you know?
A
Sorry
hundred
about
percent.
that.
100%. That's okay. No, a hundred
Yeah.
percent. And like I said, when you see those things, it is morbid, but it's true. 100 years from now, it may they say, and it's true because they say usually. Again, we don't know how things are going to be in 100 years. It could be, maybe it'll be holograms of us saying, you come see us, whatever. The point is, but the point is, I don't know my great grandmother and grandfather's names, right? So 100 years from now, when our kids have kids, and if we do something significant in the world, great. And now in today's day and age, there's that, and then people could refer to it, which back in the day they didn't have. Maybe they'd have old yellow pictures and like, oh, this is your great grandpa. But so just do what you have to do and don't look back because we don't take as much space in people's brains as we think we do. You know what I mean? So
So
unless
true.
you
That's so
right,
true.
and again, and in today's world with you hear a tragedy, right? And then you're like, oh, that's crazy. And then it's in today's news cycle, and all of a sudden, 2 days later, it's the next thing, and you already forgot about
Forgot
you
about the
know
other thing. Yeah.
this
Yeah.
or that. You know what I mean? So it's just
I'd love to.
Get. I'm sorry.
Sorry, so sorry to interrupt you. So sorry to interrupt you, but I actually want to
No,
give
no, no.
the viewers an example where I have done this, and I recently found out, and I was like, wow. Basically, when I started skydiving, I was like, I was afraid of heights, okay? So I was absolutely terrified of stepping out of a plane. I've never been on a plane with a door open in my life, yet I
Right.
decided to go get my AFF license, which is basically the course you do to become a skydiver. I almost threw up my first jump. It was horrific. I was so, so, so scared because I was in that phase where I was like, I am now overcoming my fear. I overcame the fear. I came back and I did it. And yes, pat myself on the back. However, after that, I was so scared of posting my skydiving videos because I didn't want skydivers to say that I'm a shitty skydiver. So I was stuck in that. And for 2 to 3 years, even though I was training in the tunnel, which is the indoor skydiving tunnel where you train to
Mhm.
jump,
Like,
working
is that
my
what you like
ass
in
off.
the air too? It blows you up in the air and
Yes.
you kind of.
Yeah.
Uh,
Spending my money coaching, trying to be a better skydiver, all because I didn't want to post videos where people, because they were already saying like, oh, she can't skydive, she doesn't know, which were basically, funnily enough, was all the skydiving community. They were all the skydiving community that were like roasting me. And then after it kind of got a little bit of clarity, I look back and I was like, wow, could you imagine if I had posted all that, how amazing it would have been for people who were just starting to skydive, who were also in that same exact phase. They needed some inspiration. They needed someone to connect to. And I wasn't posting it because I was too afraid that the big fish were going to say, oh, she's terrible. She's not good. And I look back and I'm like, wow, that is so, so silly. I look back at my camera roll, so many amazing jumps that never went live. And that's kind of when I was like, you know what, this has to stop. It can't keep going like this. Now if I'm doing acrobatic yoga now and I catch myself, I'm like, oh, it's not perfect. I'll wait till I do it right. No, I'm just posting it. It's up.
no,
People are
and
gonna see.
again, and you know what's like, again amazing because again, how many people are up in the upper echelon of skydiving? What, a fraction of a 1%, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to people that follow you, right? So to
Yeah.
me, I've done a lot of crazy shit. I've never done that, right? So I was so impressed watching you and seeing that. I was like, holy fuck, that's amazing. Why? Because I'm the majority of people that would see you do that and be like, wow. You know what I mean? So again, when you think about what you just said and you hit on it, how
Yeah.
silly that you were
Mm.
worried about, excuse my language, we'll put them in a 50. We'll put 50 quote unquote expert jerk offs. You were so worried
Yeah.
about what they were going to say when you
Yeah.
had 100 billion me that were looking at you and like, that's fucking cool. That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
crazy. Right. So
Yeah.
think about how you limited yourself. And it goes back to what you and I were talking about earlier, because we're so worried about, you know what I mean? Putting ourselves out there and having a few people judge you. You know what I mean?
So true.
Who
It's
cares?
so true. Yeah,
Who cares? But
absolutely. There's I think once you start putting yourself out there though, it does get easier for sure. The first time always sucks. It's super scary. And then but once you start kind of getting used to it, the fuck it mentality is like a snowball effect and it almost becomes an addiction because you kind of get high on it. When you don't give a shit, it's fucking awesome. It's so cool. Once you start and you're like, I just put something up. Of course, the first time you're like, oh my God. And then the second time you're like, oh, it's up. I know it's good. I love it. Let's go. Third time, you just put your phone down and then you become present. And this is the golden moment when you can just work, create, love it, be obsessed with it, post, move on, and live your life. Hey, remember life? Remember being present? Remember being with our loved ones, you know? And it's beautiful. So if somebody finds it really hard, I would tell them it gets easier for sure. Just start.
absolutely. I can't, you know what? I could claim a lot of crazy, amazing things in my life. You know how many times I said I want to do that, skydive, but I never had the balls. And that's a kudos, amazing thing. Well, I don't even care if you would have posted one. You did it only once, and in the video you were throwing up because you know what? That's fucking authentic. No, no, seriously, that's fucking authentic, right?
Yeah.
That's all of this side, the wide majority of people watching that, and would have been like, "Wow, that's fun. Wow, she's scared, she's throwing up, and she fucking did it anyway."
Yeah.
That to me is more respectful than you going out and you doing flips and tumble salt. Because I was like, all right, she does it all the time. All right, great. That to me that was gold. You throwing
Yeah.
up on yourself, like holding by, holding back, going, all right, let's go. And you're like, fuck no. And then you go. I mean,
Yeah.
that's gold to me. Because that's you're being you're real, and that's the way you felt in that moment. And fuck it. That's a fuck
Yeah.
it moment. You know what I mean? Is when you're
Yeah.
scared and you do it anyway, right?
Absolutely.
That's what they
Absolutely.
sort of say in the good Marines. Courage is
Yeah.
when you're scared, but you fucking do it anyway. That's courage, and that's what that was. So what
Yeah.
you thought was so fucking my cringe would have probably been the number one skydive video out there. To this day,
100%.
people would be watching that, right?
100%. 100%.
Uh, let's find that. Let's put that up.
I know. I know.
I'll
I will
repost it. I'll
actually.
put it everywhere. Let's do it.
I love it. I love the support. Thank
I want some sort of fucking associate producer credit on that one. Um, so so let's go down. Another thing that I commend you on because again I always go back to I don't mean to go back to myself but I use some of the stuff I've done because it shows the magnitude of where I am to what you had done. So as a kid, I worked at Chippendales for a while, right? And I became the MC, right, of the show. I would bring you down. If you ever saw Magic Mike, I was like Matthew McConaughey in that
Yeah.
role. But and again, just for reference. And again, the first time I did it, I was like, nervous. Am I wearing the right thing? Am I going to? Anyhow, the point where I'm going is right. It became a second nature. I could do bills in my head as I was doing my monologue. I to this day, as comfortable as I am in front of a camera, on stuff, I could never go right now and do a TEDx, um, you know, event and be the main person and be on the middle of the stage and present myself and present my. So how does that come? And what is that like the first
Oh,
time, right?
oh my
And
God.
when you're ready to go on stage for the first fucking time, right? To get in front of everybody, do you at all have maybe like an imposter syndrome? Am I really supposed to be here? What's going through your head as you're ready to be announced?
Absolutely. The TEDx talk was probably the hardest thing I've ever done, way harder than
Hmm.
skydiving for many reasons. I got called to talk about my story, and I was actually about to share for the first time in front of 1,500 people the fact that my father was violent and abusive, and that he caused me to be blind in the left eye. And that was the first moment ever that I've shared that. So the reason I was sharing it is because I genuinely wanted to help people so badly that I wasn't gonna hold back on any part of my story. So not only did I have to make peace with the fact that I now have to share that story, but I had to also make peace with the fact that that story also happened. I was still in the process of even my therapy of understanding what's gone down. So there was so many levels of fear I couldn't even tell you. And I said those exact same words that you just said. I could never do a TED Talk. There's just no way. I listen, I like talking on camera. I am comfortable on camera, but I just couldn't do it. But this is another thing, like the fear thing that I've unlocked with just basically making a choice. I'm afraid of being underwater, for example, right? I can't swim. I made a choice to get in the water and learn to scuba dive. I'm not happy in the moment, but I know I'm facing a fear and I'm learning something, and I know I'm about to unlock a part of myself that is better. Same thing with the skydiving. Afraid of heights, I'm like, I'm gonna unlock this shit because I just don't want to be afraid of heights, and I'm gonna put myself in this moment and I'm gonna see it. The TEDx talk, before going on stage, I was shaking. I actually told the producer I can't do it. I said, please, can you let everybody else go before me? He literally grabbed me and he was like, I promise you, the more you wait, the worse it's gonna get. Go out there, you got this.
Uh,
And I went out and I was like, 1,500 people. Like they said up to 1,500. I didn't realize they're gonna sell out every seat. And I went up there and I had this thing where like my hands were quivering, my side of my cheek, like when random small muscles
yeah,
start to spasm,
yeah,
you're
like
like,
kicks, right,
holy.
right.
But like, I'm not gonna say it was easy, but going up there and actually sharing my own story, which was authentic to me, it was my truth. There was a strength in that where as I spoke, as every word came out, I slowly but surely started to unravel. And I could feel myself changing as a person. I was like, oh my God, I am doing one of the hardest things in the world right now. And as soon as I shared the story about being, um, living through being bombed in Lebanon and then having to escape with my violent father, and people were actually listening, I realized I'm making a change. And that was so worth it. And I would just think back, like, imagine if I actually went and said, no, 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 I can't do that. It's too scary. There's no point. I'm not gonna,
How much, right? So that just to hold that thought. So imagine you did, right? Can you imagine the regret today you'd still have for leaving, having the opportunity to get on that stage and you just said, you know what, I can't screw it and leave? Do you imagine for the rest of your life, you'll be 85 years old in your rocking chair,
you
thinking
know,
back.
Steve, I've never regretted doing something that
Mm.
required me to face my fears or doing something scary. My regret is always based around not doing something. Why didn't I do that? You know,
Right.
I have honestly never regretted doing something, because even if I did something that wasn't exactly like in my best interest or didn't have good results or whatever it was, I learned. Right? I learned. Right. We're never doing that again. It's fine. I learned. but I've never regretted doing something. I've always been like, it's always been about not doing something. Why didn't I take this, like, you know, job? Oh, because it was underwater. It was with a bunch of influencers, and I was just too scared to actually work with one of the biggest yacht companies in Dubai here. And I was like, I was too scared to show everybody that I couldn't swim and be around the water. I turned down the biggest job ever. I regret that, of course. What I should have done is just turn up, tell everyone, and then do the damn job, and they would have just worked around. They would have admired the fact that I'm
Uh,
coming in with vulnerability.
Again, same fucking thing. Now, how great would it have been going back to your skydiving thing, right? How great if it would, how awesome would it have been if you would have went and you would say, "Listen, guys, I'm fucking fearful of water. I really can't swim good." And you getting all that footage, and then and you end up doing it anyway. How many more
Yes.
people would have been like, "Oh my God, I have a man crush, a crush on this person because she was scared, but she
Yeah.
did it." You know what I mean? That's the inspiration. You didn't have to be Michael Phelps. Swimming through the water. That would have been awesome. You know what I mean? And again, so
And
again, it's crazy.
after the TED Talk, I had a few people come up to me, and there was this one lady, and she had survived domestic abuse for so long,
Mm.
and she held my hand, and I felt like as if I've known her for years. And she was like, "You have no idea how much impact you've made on me today, because I genuinely believe that my fate was just to welt in this sorrow and just feel sorry for myself, that there is no other way but to just be a victim." Couldn't even see how it could ever be anything but a victim of,
Right.
she could ever be anything but a victim of her story. Like sometimes when you're stuck in that, you don't even realize there is someone out there that can show you that there is something on the other side waiting for you, and it's fucking good, and it takes just one choice.
And you know what? Because my follow-up question, and then we're going to go to our quote unquote lightning round. But my quote unquote question afterwards, but you already answered it to me because you already won. But I was going to ask you after you did your whole routine on routine or whatever you want to do your speech, your story. Um, what were the ramifications afterwards, which I want to hear. But if you would have told me, which I know was the case, but just going this way, say I bombed. I was terrible. I bombed. But when I left the stage, this one woman came and related to me, and you already won, right? Because if you touch one person in 1,500, you made a difference, right? So that alone, answered my question. It was a win. I know that, but I know you didn't bomb. I know you did very well. So what has doing that whole TED talk? What has came out of that since? Is it as like another level once you get off, as far as opportunities as they promise, or what was the reality as opposed to what people think it is?
Well, for me, yeah, I mean, now people know me for who I am. It's not just this like lady who jumps and skydives, and
Right,
it's
right,
about
right, right.
visibility and gone viral a few times. Like when people actually look and see, I feel like the connection that I have built with my audience, with people who watch it, is irreplaceable. People are connecting to me, and my story is my truth. And I think people
Right.
love to see that. And actually, maybe I don't know about bombed, but I mean, I was shaking, I was anxious, and I was, obviously, a little bit nervous. But I think people also love that. They love that I'm not trying to be perfect. Since the TED Talk, to be honest, I want to do another one now. I'm like, I would love to kind of talk about how life has elevated since. But yeah, it has been amazing to see how connected I am now to my audience. For me personally, after doing that hardest thing ever, I realize now that if I'm gonna go through a bunch of shit growing up, and the trauma and the abandonment and everything that I've been through, if I don't use that to make myself better, A, but also to carry on a valuable message where I can help people in that are going through the same position, then what's the point? So it gave me the understanding that I have the power to make this a purpose. I can actually use this message to do good, to do something good, to inspire
That's
people. I know
amazing.
there's a little
I agree.
girl, I grew up in Saudi Arabia. I was in Saudi Arabia at one point. Literally, there was like bars at my windows. My dad didn't let me leave the house because I was a woman. Like,
Right.
girls are not allowed to leave. So there is a girl right now in that same exact place, literally stuck, trapped. She's not allowed to do anything, and she might have access to my story, and that might give her like a little tiny speck of hope, and that's
Yep.
worth it.
Agreed. And again, I always tell someone, to me, um, if nothing comes out of it other than you did it and you got your story out there, you did it successfully. Um, if nothing else, A, if you touch one person, right, and that lives forever, and as you get out there, more people can refer back to it, and B, on a resume alone, right, when that's on there, it's almost like going for a certain job and seeing that you went to Harvard. That's how, or that you got created something and you're got investments from Shark Tank.
Yeah.
It's that impressive to me. And trust me, you impressed me. You had me at hello without that part of it. But then when I
Thank
saw
you
that
so
as
much.
well, I was like, fucking
I
yes,
appreciate
let's get her. No, so I mean that's really, amazing. So kudos. I mean,
I
you floored
appreciate
me.
you.
Oh no. Well, listen, uh, I think it not being in a bad way, not Nate, but I think I got a crush on you as far as who you are. I really
Thank you
do.
so
Because
much. I
oh
really
no,
appreciate that.
I there's nothing that impresses me more than when somebody just says, I'm not my situation is not define who I am, and you just they do things and you just go, and that to me, you're at 99% of everybody else, because a lot of people talk shit but don't do shit, and so anyhow, kudos to you.
Thank you so much. That
No,
is a
and
whole, like a boatload of encouragement that you've given me tonight. I love it. I feel so motivated right now. Thank you.
you mean this morning?
Yeah.
You mean 9 a.m. for me is what you mean? No,
Exactly.
I'm playing. So let's just do the speed round real fast, and then anything else you want? We'll have all listeners. Anything else you want to promote? I know you have your podcast. We'll talk about that real quick, and then we'll wrap things up. So here we go. First thing that comes to mind. Ready? No thinking. Cloud or credibility?
Credibility,
Attention or autonomy?
autonomy.
Best decision you made that hurt your growth?
Hurt my growth.
That hurt your growth.
But it's the best
But
decision?
but because you're right, because you did it,
Oh,
and you
yeah.
so you that makes sense.
Yes,
So
yes, now it makes
best
sense.
decision you made that hurt your growth.
Yeah, I stuck to who I was. I lost a ton of followers, and that's okay. I stopped posting things that are performative that I knew were just there to get likes. I stopped posting my body. I stopped posting just things that are superficial, and I started posting me and my message. And I lost a ton of followers, but I also gained a lot of good ones as well. So it was a huge transition. I'm so fucking happy I did it.
Worst advice creators keep giving each other.
Follow trends.
Okay. One thing you refuse to monetize.
I guess, well, my daughter, I protect her privacy. I get a lot of jobs saying, can you do videos with her doing things and stuff? I protect her privacy until she can make the choice. And I won't monetize my body and my looks in a way where it's sold as something for other people's enjoyment to objectify. So if it's something that has to do with objectifying my body or my being in any way, I don't want to make money off of that. So when I get offers from like bikini companies or, anybody trying to kind of get me to do something sultry or sexy, which I get all the time, I say no.
Right. So as so something you're proud of that no one sees. Would you say be a mom or
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm just proud of my growth because I did really dive super, super deep into a lot of plant medicine, a lot of healing journeys that I've done on my own and with others. So I'm proud of that. But of course, I'm so proud of being a mom. I love being a mom. I really do. I think every hard moment just makes me better. It sucks in the moment and I want to, it's tough. It's for sure tough. It's not ever like happy dandy whatever, but every tough moment makes me better. So I'm like, bring it on, man. Let's go. So I'm proud of it.
no, no doubt. No doubt. And last question. If social media disappeared tomorrow, what stays for you?
Oh my gosh, my podcast, a show, radio, any way that I can connect with people and create a platform. It doesn't have to be social media. We can sit in my living room and we can post it on the radio, or we can just talk in a community or in a park. I don't care. For me, it's about talking to people and exchanging ideas and making each other better and helping each other in our growth journeys. So I think I would just be doing that.
And right now, someone who's listening right now, that's maybe an actor, a director, a writer, a creator, an influencer, a construction worker, a plumber, uh, that's trying to achieve their goals and are just stuck and are ready to give up. What would you tell them? What's your advice?
That's part of it. You're right where you're supposed to be. You're supposed to be stuck. You're supposed to struggle. You're supposed to have those hard struggling moments because what you do to overcome that and come out of it is what's going to actually get you to your goal. But keep going. Don't stop. Don't doubt yourself.
If you dream, dream out loud, right?
If you dream, dream out loud. Every hard work genuinely pays off. You just keep working towards your goal. Eliminate distractions. Hey, you know what's also amazing about eliminating distractions? Look around you. Like, I got to a point one time and I was like looking at my environment. I'm like, who am I around? Who are my friends? Who are my people? Who am I following? Like, who am I giving time to? And slowly, when you start to see this person doesn't inspire me, they're not doing anything good in their life, they're just sucking my energy, they're a draining person, remove. You have to do that. And it's crazy how you end up. I mean, this is part of manifesting. You end up, good things come to you when you start to eliminate all the bad things that are just withdrawing from your energy. So sometimes when we're stuck, it's not even about us, our talent, or what's not working. Sometimes it's also about the environment. Look around, assess, be self-aware. Who am I giving my energy to? I had
Right.
to eliminate friends who were just messaging me just to get me to be their therapist all day. And then by the end of the day, I'm like, I just spent an hour and a half texting this girl back about the guy, that the bub, that all her problems. I wasted an hour and a half of my precious time, and my motivation has now, dissipated because I was giving this person energy, which I wasn't getting reciprocated anyway. So honing in and actually being like, today is my day to be creative and focus on my work. There's going to be no messaging. There's going to be no admin. It's just going to be about what I'm going to do towards my goal. This is really huge. I have a whiteboard actually that I put up, and it's like I have a line, and each day is a kind of day where I'm going to dedicate my mindset to. Some days are just admin, admin, catching up on messages and maybe checking in with family or whatever, or friends. But some days it's like I'm creating. There is nothing else happening today, and nobody can reach me via text, and nobody can ask me to do anything except for this is a me towards my goal day. It's me and my goal. We're right here.
That's awesome. Wow, that's awesome. And it is true. And I'm going to say more or less thing you said it because it's another, it's a fact. You are the product of the five people you hang out with the most. That's 100% factual. It really is. Um, look at your circle for people that are listening or watching, and really look at it and see who you're hanging out with. I guarantee you, most of the time, if not all of them, most of them are probably are the reason why you the way you are and the mindset you have. So that is no doubt at all. But um,
100%. Even when even what you watch, like I don't watch true crime or negative documentaries. I don't want to know about what P. Diddy did. I don't do negative things because I think whatever my brain needs is I need to surround myself with positive energy. That of course that doesn't, that goes to say I'm still connected to when I need to know about the world, but in my day to day, I don't turn on Netflix and watch a documentary about true crime, about who killed who, because I think that fucks with my brain. So I try to always have podcasts on, something upbeat music, just kind of frequencies that are just helpful. I notice what people are saying, sometimes if you notice people when they talk, you can notice who's negative, their perspectives. You could walk into a room and someone might be like, oh, it's a shitty day today. Oh my God, it's going to rain tomorrow. Let's say this is just a basic example, of course. But I'm like, don't be around me, dude. I don't need
all
that.
right,
You know?
right,
I'm
right,
thinking sunny. I'm thinking sunshine is in the brain. I don't need this kind of energy. The more I did that, people thought I was a bitch. I don't care. You know what? I am a bitch because I care about where I'm going and I'm focused on it. And if you're going to bring your negative energy and try to kind of doubt me or say, oh, why are you doing this? Or why is this person doing this? Gossip. I don't do any of that.
right. No, it's 100% factual. And like I said, it's funny. And it's the last thing I'll say now. I want to get to your all your stuff. When I watch the news, right, with all this fucking nonsense, with Fox News, any of this stuff, I actually get anxiety.
Mhm.
I can't go to sleep because I just when I hear all the fucked up things going on, and I can't physically change anyway. So yeah, I mean, yeah, shut that shit
You're
off at
helpless.
night. Yeah,
You're
yeah, yeah.
helpless. You
So
can't do anything
yeah,
about it. So all you do is
so
it just changes your mindset and you're anxious.
yeah, you can't stress about things you can't control, right? So, um, with that being said, how do our listeners follow you, reach out to you if that's applicable, and what are you before you even get to that? What are you doing and working on now?
So I'm Naila, and my Instagram is at Naila. That's it. That's Naila. And I have a podcast called Untempered. Guys, listen to it. The podcast is amazing. We talk about love, relationships, couples, entrepreneurship, self-growth, all kinds self-improvement. I started by just recording in my bedroom, and it's been doing really well. I'm really grateful. It got me to have an opportunity to talk with you, Steve, so I'm like really grateful. And right now I'm actually working on a self-guided journal that I'm creating for people to be able to get unstuck. So this is going to be coming out soon. I'm really, really excited about it. It's the prompts and all the questions that I had to ask myself at my lowest moments, and I will be guiding people to answer them. And it's going to be amazing. I'm really excited for that.
Amazing, amazing. And again, I'm sorry you mentioned your Instagram. Is there any other way, or is that the main way?
Yeah, my Instagram is at Nyla, and then my podcast Instagram is untempered underscore podcast. And people can reach me on there for sure. It's really easy to reach me there and to kind of see what I'm up to. I'm about to post a really big skydiving stunt that I did in Switzerland last week. So if they want to see it, it's going to be up soon.
Well, before we do that, Nyla, we're going to be posting a big Instagram on Nyla's account of her vomiting all over herself for her first jump.
Yeah,
And then we're
how
going to
it
put that
started.
up. We're going to do that. And then we're going to put up this one and we're going to see which one gets more likes. All right. So
Yes,
I'm going to put up betting odds and I'm going to say her first jump ever as opposed to this professional jump. Just saying.
yes,
But
I love
Nyla,
it.
thank you so much. It's that amazing. Listen, I could talk to you for hours. I really can. When it comes out, when your journal comes out and comes out, let's reconvene and get you back on the show. Um, Once again, thank you so much for coming on all the way from across the world. I really do appreciate it. To all my listeners, dream, dream out loud. We just said it. I can't wait for you guys to hear this one. Again, thank you so much for making us a top 10 Apple podcast. The only issue with being top 10 is there's nine more spots, right? So again, it's not because of my voice, it's because guests like Nyla. And again, I can't wait to share this one. If you dream, dream out loud. This is Steve Stanulis. Believe our producers, our sponsors, and we'll see you next week. God
Thank
bless.
you so much, Steve. Thank you. Thank you.